There seems to be a bit of a discrepancy between experiences. Those who are just starting out semen retention, and those that have been practicing it for a considerable amount of time. Your experience will change throughout the journey. And it takes someone that has been through it all before to be able to let you know about what's coming. And where the real difficulty in this practice actually lies. And it may well surprise you to know that it's actually at the very start. That is the hardest phase or stage. Not many people can get through the initial stages. Those who do get through the initial stages that's where the profound changes really start happening. Think of it like it's a pendulum swinging one side to the other continuously. This is your emotions, urges in the initial stages of retention. You will have wild mood swings. You will feel euphoric sometimes. You'll feel like you are on top of the world. And then the very next day, you will feel like absolute crap. Talk about duality. But this is very important for you to know when this is happening. Because on one hand, your brain, it feels good to not have to rely so much on those old forms of dopamine that you used to rely on. It feels good to be free from that. And that's where the euphoria comes in. You'll have days where you're just absolutely killing it. Nothing. It's like you can do no wrong. Everything works out in your favor because you have put in the work in order to deserve that. And then on the other hand, your brain, it is struggling because it is so accustomed to those old forms of dopamine that you have relied upon. And it's kind of having withdrawal symptoms from that. It's no joke. Withdrawal symptoms are quite brutal. Don't think that it gets harder as time goes on. It doesn't. Once you pass a certain threshold, say, it could be different time lengths for different people. For the purpose of this video, I'll just say 60 to 90 days. Say that is your threshold. If you are able to get past that threshold, it gets easier to control the pendulum that is swinging from side to side. Chaos. However, before that threshold, you will be susceptible to the wild swings of emotions that this pendulum has to offer you. And it will continually swing until it's clear how much you can handle. Now, if you are familiar with a pendulum, the longer it is swinging, the slower it becomes until it eventually finds its balance. Like that. In my experience, that is what's happening with semen retention. So, if you see someone who's been able to achieve a longer length of time than you have, don't put that person on a pedestal. Don't say to yourself that, gee, if it's this difficult for me after 20 days, imagine what he's going through after 200 days, or even longer. Someone who is using this practice as an attachment to their ego will try to make you feel like it's only 20 days. What are you complaining about? I've done such and such days. Who are you to start complaining? If they start saying that to you, they are not being honest and transparent with you. Think about the concept of habits. in the early stages, in your brain, you are in the habit of releasing very frequently, getting those constant hits of dopamine, extreme hits of dopamine. You are in the habit of doing that, which means that your brain is more and more dependent on that in order to fulfill its dopamine requirements. Now keep that in mind. Early stages, you are in the habit of doing the thing that you are trying to overcome. However, say that you are past that and you are, say, 150, 200 days. Or more. The longer you go, the more you are not in the habit of doing said thing, which means your brain is learning how to survive and cope without it. And that is why the urges over time, they'll start to get a lot calmer and easier to handle. It's still difficult, but compared to how it was at the very beginning, you will be able to navigate it. It takes someone that has been through it and someone that's willing to be honest with you to actually tell you the truth. You will still have rough patches, flat lines, as they say. Even on a long streak. However, those flat lines become a lot less profound. And before you know it, you have accumulated a very long period of time. And it almost feels like it's coming naturally now. You don't even have to try because you have set a precedent earlier on and you have got through the chaos phase of it and you have come out the other side a lot clearer, forming more positive habits. Very, very important that you know about this, because if you are ignorant to how the journey progresses, you may well lose motivation to continue on, because it's easy to think that "20 days is easier than 200 days. It's easy to think that. Most people would think that. Both are challenging and they have different levels of difficulty. Don't compare yourself to those that are at a different stage of the journey than you are. Don't judge yourself based on them. And if they start to make you feel like you are less than, then that is an issue, because they are lying to you. They aren't being transparent. When you get to the level of achieving those long streaks, you'll find the exact same thing that I'm telling you right now. The longer you go, the slower the pendulum is becoming. And your ability to handle this pendulum is becoming stronger and stronger. Now, when you are able to handle this pendulum, all of the so-called benefits that you have gained from the practice, you become quite desensitized to them, which means if you notice that you are really full of energy earlier on in the streak, as time goes on, you won't notice that energy as much, because it is becoming the new normal for you. It's like you are experiencing it every single day, which means you are becoming desensitized. And you are finding it harder and harder to distinguish the extremities, because it's easy to distinguish extremities when one side is here and the other side is here, because at the time you know exactly what it feels like to be here, and then it swings you from here to here, and then you're like, wow, this is so much different. Quite remarkable. However, as time goes on, that is all coming into balance. And when it does come into balance, now this is where your consciousness level starts to progress. Because you are no longer reliant on habits that keep you in the low spectrum of emotions: guilt, shame, apathy, anger. I recently did a video where I mentioned that my ability to not get angry is really improving, especially at work. I'm not a very angry person in general. However, if I am angry, it's usually at work. I've noticed that about me. You are no longer operating in that realm. And you are starting to progress up the ladder with emotions such as courage, acceptance, gratefulness. Joy. You may not be able to consciously realize that this is happening at the time. However, when you look back on it, it'll become clearer to you that you are changing. I once told this pendulum concept to a guy in the Sons of God community, Cody. Shout out to you, my friend. And he said that what I said to him should be mandatory reading for everyone starting out on semen retention. And I found that quite, wow. I mean, because it's been so long since I've been at that stage, it was really good to get that reminder from him about how profound that whole concept is and how it affects a person's motivation to get through the tough times. I'm here to tell you that as time goes on, your ability to be disciplined, it will evolve. All you need to do is just make a decision that this is something that you are not willing to negotiate. Have conviction in that statement. And say, I'm going to experience this for myself. I'm seeing all of these other people talk about it. I'm going to get a first-hand experience, and I'm going to validate what these people are saying and see if it is in fact true in my own personal experience. This whole journey is about letting go of the ego, not playing stupid games to win stupid prizes. That is all petty stuff that is no longer, it no longer entertains you. So that is why I'm saying be mindful of people who aren't being honest with you about how the journey progresses. I think I explained it quite well here in this video. I can appreciate a guy starting out just as much as I can appreciate a guy that has been through all of the tests and tribulations in order to get to a year, even a year streak. It is possible. I've done it. And I'll also say that I can admit that my sex drive and urges, I don't think that they are as bad as some other people. It would be easy for me to just say, look, we're all the same. If I did it, you can do it. It would be easy for me to be an arrogant prick. However, that is not what I think is the truth. A 20-day streak a 20-day streak for one person who has a crazy sex drive, who absolutely lives and breathes it, compared to someone else who has a 100-day streak, who kind of has the mentality of, take it or leave it. It doesn't really affect me. Understand that everyone's different. However, the one common ground that we have is tackling lust, desire, and retaining the energy that you have been given and not abusing it. Because when you abuse it, that's when your life things start happening and you start lowering yourself into the lower states of consciousness, which is akin to living in hell. I hope that this video was helpful. Take care.